Well, hi there. It's Ezra Levant, November 4th. It's the morning after the election in the United States. For those of you who joined us last night, welcome back. Last I checked, we had over almost 300,000 views of last night's live stream, which is quite a large number. I don't care who you are. That's a pretty big number. I enjoyed the banter with our viewers on our live stream, and Sheila Gunn Reid was co-hosting from Alberta. Plus, we checked in on almost all of our on-air talents. Trying to think if we missed anybody, but it was great. We had decided that we were going to go to 3 a.m., but shortly after 3 a.m. we realized that staying up another half hour, another hour, or whatever was not going to make a difference because there were so many strange things going on, in particular in Pennsylvania and some other parts of other states. They just decided to stop counting, to stop working. This is your one job, guys. I know it's late. You can maybe even have a nap right there in the office, half-hour nap, a little cat nap. Maybe you just, work tired, pull an all-nighter. It is really your one job to count the votes. It only happens once every 4 years, a presidential election. So you knew it was coming. You shouldn't say you're surprised. Now, I want to take you so anyways, as the night closed, as we signed off just after 3 a.m., Joe Biden and Donald Trump were both within striking distance of winning the Electoral College vote to needed to become president, which is 270 Electoral College votes or seats out of 538. As you can see, 270 is a one-seat majority. One elector. They're called electors. And each state has a different value. For example, Wyoming is 3. Going from memory, I think California is 55. So it's not, you're not going for raw vote count in the country. You're not going for total number of states. You're doing a more complicated math of which states can you win that have the highest vote, electoral college vote. So when we went to bed, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina were pretty much in the Trump column. There were some questions about Arizona. You want to call up the New York Times map? There's some questions about Arizona and Nevada. The Trump campaign thinks they can win Arizona. Maybe they can, I don't know. But let's say they can't, and Nevada I think is pretty solidly Democrat. But there were 3 Midwestern states. You see them at the top there? Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. I'm not going to call Pennsylvania Midwestern. I don't think it meets that definition. Those were the 3 states that Trump was just flurrying back and forth in the final week of the campaign. It was actually quite amazing the pace he set. He was doing up to 5 rallies a day, which is incredible. Hard-working performers on Broadway do 2 shows a night. And that's tiring. That's the energy level. Trump is doing 5 shows a night. So as you can see, I don't know if you want to hover over the New York Times map there. It's a pretty good map. In Wisconsin, it's very, very close. There's barely half a percentage difference between the 2 candidates. And the little note there is that absentee ballots are expected to be counted by Wednesday morning. Michigan, 92% of votes counted, and we don't know what the jiggery-pokery is about extra ballots out there. And Pennsylvania, Trump has a significant lead, but I see that a Democrat official for the state says there are, quote, millions, plural, of mail-in ballots not yet counted. So millions tells me it's more than 1 million, that it's 2 million or more, which would be shocking because there's already 5.5 million votes counted, and just to come up with millions more, but no precise number, seems awfully convenient. I don't know why North Carolina and Georgia are not attributed to Trump already by the New York Times. I don't know why they're holding back. Arizona, the Trump campaign thinks they've got a chance there. I don't know. But let's focus on those 3 states Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. At about, I don't know the exact time, there was an announcement in a variety of Democrat-controlled battleground states that they were simply going to stop counting. Just stop. Why? That's not how this works. And everyone went to bed. But then they started a little bit later. Why did they stop? Why did they start? And I want to show you a tweet that is heavily, heavily censored. And I'll explain how it's censored. I'll show it's censored. State of the race in Wisconsin. So you can see on the left-hand side, there's on the bottom axis, it's the time and date and time. So just before, does that say 5 a.m.? I can't quite see that. 6 a.m. Do you see the red line? When they started counting, the red line was clearly beating the blue line until about 5 a.m. And then the blue line just happens to jump exactly enough to beat the red line. Really. But there's another tweet. Can you go to, let's do this together. Go to Donald Trump. So that just happened in the middle of the night. Every single vote that was found in 100,000 plus vote tranche, every single one of them was for Biden. What's the statistical chance of that? I put it to you at 0. Now look at this. Work with me here. President of the United States has a question. What is this all about? But you can't see. Twitter has blocked it. They say some or all of the content shared in this tweet is disputed and might be misleading about an election or other civic process. Well, everything is disputed. That's what an election is. Both sides dispute each other and the people decide. So you can't read it. They blocked it. Now you can click view. And you still can't see it though, can you? You just click view and you can't see it. Okay, click view again. Well, it's a tweet by Matt Walsh who says, this is reason enough to go to court. No honest person can look at this and say it's normal and unconcerning. Okay, before we click on it anymore, let's just look at those words. This is reason enough to go to court. How is that misleading or false or disinformation? It's an opinion. This is reason to go to court. No honest person can look at this and say it's normal and unconcerning. Okay, so where's the fraud? It's all opinions, and it's just saying, come on guys, we got to go to court. How is that? So you've had to click 3 times now to read it. Click on it one more, click on the Matt Walsh thing. And now what he's linked to has been blocked, and you can't see how many times, and you'll notice that something's missing now. How many times has this Matt Walsh tweet been liked, favorited, shared, quoted? They've removed that information. Has this been seen 100 times? 100,000? 1,000,000? Why can't we know that? Is it so this doesn't trend or something? This is reason enough to go to court. No, how many times have you clicked now, Justin? 4 times, I think? 4 times. And we still don't know what the president was talking about. He was talking about something that Matt Walsh was talking about. We have now clicked 4 times and we still don't know what they're talking about. Do you know what they're talking about? Okay, click it for the 5th time. Okay, 5 clicks. An update gives Biden 100% of new votes, 128,000. So now can you click on that tweet by Makowick? And you'll notice, again, another warning, some or all of the content shared in this is disputed and might be misleading. So again, you don't know how many times it's been viewed. You don't have any of those stats on it. So is that 5 or 6 clicks now? That was the 6th click. Now click on the image itself so we can make it a little bit larger. And then can you zoom in even more? Is it possible to zoom in on the image or not really? So what does he mean? Well, we showed another version of the graph a moment ago, but I was watching attentively all night. Yeah, and can you even pump it up just a tiny bit? Thank you. So on the left, you see that Trump, do you see the Trump vote there? This is in Michigan. So now we're talking about Michigan, not Wisconsin. Michigan, the Trump votes, I'm just going to squint a little bit here, were 2.2 million, and the Biden votes were 1.99. Thank you very much. So 2.2 million, I'm just going to jot this down so I don't forget. I'm going to be very precise. 2,200,902, all right? And the Biden votes is 1,992,356. As you can see, that's a fairly significant difference. That's a 5% difference. And as you can see in the bottom right of that little box, 91% or 90.9% of the votes are in. Okay, next slide. So you'll see that now 93.8% of the votes are in. And what's that Trump number? It is exactly what it was in the other slide, 2,200,902. Go to the left again just to show people. 2,200,902. Go back to the right again. 2,200,902. But now compare Biden numbers. On the left, 1,992,356. And on the right, ta-da! 2,130,695. So not a single new vote found for Donald Trump, but what was it, 138,000? I could do the math. Approximately 138,000 new votes found for Biden. Just poof, just happened. Okay, thanks. So close up this, but don't close the whole thing. So go back, so to speak. So show me that last tweet, and let's work our way backwards. So that's what Matt Makowiak shows. But again, you've got the warning there. You've stripped of information how many people are liking, sharing it. And then you see the top, that arrow to the left, yeah, click it. So now you're going to, you scroll up a little bit, you're at Matt Walsh's tweet here. Just scroll up a little so we can see, yeah. And then you've got Donald Trump, what is this all about? So we had to click, I think, 6 times to get to the information. How many people are going to click 6 times to get to the information? But let me read again the warning. Some or all of the content shared in this tweet is disputed and might be misleading about an election or other civic process. But really, it was only 2 snapshots of reported numbers from Michigan, a Democrat-controlled state. So is it disputed in what way? Did the state not issue these numbers? If so, I'd like to know. Or might be misleading. What's misleading? The numbers are the numbers. There's not a lot of fudging there. It's like, you know, scoring a sports game. Either you have the goal or the basket or whatever the sport is. Either, like the thing about sports is there's no BS in it, right? Either those votes were there or they're not. There's not. I mean, I don't care about your interpretation. Are those the numbers that really were reported by the state of Michigan or not? If they are the numbers that were reported by the state of Michigan, and then that fella just published them and said, look at this, there is nothing misleading about them. There is nothing disputable about them if these numbers were in fact issued by the state of Michigan. So Donald Trump, who spent a lot of time and money in Michigan, who won Michigan last time, simply has a 5-word question. What is this all about? And Trump says, that's disputed. Click it, and you need to click 6 times before you get to the facts. And like I say, as of right now, Trump is trailing in Michigan. Trump is trailing in Wisconsin. Trump is ahead in Pennsylvania, but they've already announced that they have found, quote, millions of new votes. Millions, which is quite something, given the size of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania 2016 vote results. I'm going to see what they were in 2016. In 2016, the grand total of votes in Pennsylvania was 6 million. So how many votes do they have right now? It's about 5.5 million, is that right? So there could be another million votes, sure. There could be another 2 million votes, millions of votes. I'm skeptical, though, because the Attorney General of that state announced in advance, before the polls had closed, that the Democrats would win. He didn't say could win or should win or are on track to win or he thinks they'll win. He said they would win. How did he know? He said if all the votes are counted, the Democrats will win. How did he know that? Why would he say that? And he said that in his capacity as a senior officer in the government of Pennsylvania. I think that the vote is being stolen. And I think that the kind of people who would pack the court, as they threaten to do, who would challenge the very concept of the Electoral College, as they do constantly, who would change the rules in the Senate to under Obama for their own advantage, I think those kind of people would literally do anything to win. The kind of people who would accuse Brett Kavanaugh of being a serial rapist, a gang rapist in college, the kind of people who would make that up, the kind of people who, I mean, this is Jussie Smollett territory. These people will do anything and say anything. They'll do anything and say anything to try and knock out a Supreme Court judge, Brett Kavanaugh. Do you doubt they wouldn't do as much or more to knock out a president? They would do anything. Now, I had a question, because in the law, in policing, especially in criminal law, there's a concept with evidence called the chain of custody, which is from the moment evidence was taken, who had control over it? Was it locked up? Was it secure? Or could someone tamper with it? And that's what you do in a crime scene. And when you have an election where everything's at stake, you have scrutineers, as we call them in Canada. They could be observers. I don't know what they're called in the States. And everybody's watching the count, supposedly. Both sides are there to make sure there's no shenanigans, no malarkey. But when you say, okay, we're stopping counting, everybody go home now, what happened to the uncounted ballots? What happened to the counted ballots? What happened to everything? Who was left in the room? Who had custody over the ballots? There was a tweet, I don't know if you saw me tweet it last night, Justin, I don't know if you could find it, of a single police SUV driving with the ballot. I don't even know how you could fit 150,000 ballots in one vehicle. I don't know if that is it digitally or something, like a digital file. Okay, so who are the police in the police car? Are they even police driving that police car? Are there scrutineers in the police car? We generally trust police to keep the integrity of evidence in a criminal case, but this isn't a criminal case. This is an election. Why are the police taking custody of the ballots at all? I'm pretty sure there wasn't a Democrat and a Republican scrutineer in the police car. I don't know if you could find that video. I retweeted someone showing that police vehicle. So who had custody over the ballot tonight? Was it perhaps the same crack security team that was in charge of guarding Jeffrey Epstein? I think we're being Epsteined here just as surely and deliberately, and they don't care if you're watching, as happened. I mean, there are some people who say, no. Jeffrey Epstein absolutely killed himself. And the fact that a surveillance camera was out and the cops took a nap and, you know, the 10 comedies of errors. No, that's just all a coincidence. Jeffrey Epstein suicided himself. I guess you could believe that. You would have to lack any natural curiosity and skepticism to believe that. I think the same Democrat team that was guarding Jeffrey Epstein was guarding the ballots because, ta-da, I showed you that 6 times hidden tweet that Donald Trump tried to tweet. You had to click 6 times to get all the info. And they didn't even give you the info. How many times has that tweet been shared? I'd like to know. How many times has it been liked or retweeted? They certainly are not going to allow it to trend, are they? They're censoring the President of the United States when what was it, a 5 for what is going on here or something? That was his question like that? Can you imagine? They're censoring him even asking that. And he was quoting Matt Walsh, who said this is reason enough to go to court to ask questions. They're censoring that, and they're censoring what he was linking to. Yeah, this is it. Milwaukee's 169,000 absentee ballots en route to county election officials. Okay, so who's driving the vehicle? How do you fit 169,000 of anything in that vehicle? Who's driving the vehicle? What's the chain of custody? Why are police doing it at all? Who's in that vehicle? You say there's a different tweet associated with this? Is that what you said? Anyways, now there may be an answer to these questions, just like there was an answer, yeah. Breaking, Wisconsin, Milwaukee City just finished absentee count of 169,000 ballots, just filmed results being delivered to county by police escort. County expected to release results soon. And what time was this posted? 4:23 a.m. So were these the 138,000? No, that was Michigan. I'm losing track of my ballot stuffing here. So who is that lady? And are there scrutineers? And what exactly does she have? Does she just have a piece of paper with a tally on it? Do other people know what the tally is? I don't know. Maybe it's just a lady with the information that has already been screened and scrutinized. Maybe there's no fuss here. But the thing is, YouTube, Twitter, Google, Facebook, everyone clamping down on any even basic accountability questions in the thick of the moment does not engender trust. And that's the thing. When you have, quote, millions of votes in advance or by mail, and they have to be postmarked before the election, or they don't, or it can be a blurry postmark, does that build trust in the institutions of democracy? I see your super chats. I promise I'll get to them. Thank you for those super chats, by the way. Pardon me? Yeah. Folks, if you can do me a quick favor, if you want to click like and share just to get a few more folks on this live stream, I'd be very grateful. It takes only just a second. You see that little thumbs up on the vid, because we don't have a marketing budget to promote the live stream, so we sort of rely on you to do it. On the super chats, I will read them all. For those of you who don't know, a super chat is when you put a few dollars behind your comment and it puts it in a bright color. If I don't read them in real time, and I'm sorry I haven't done that yet, I just wanted to get a few things out of my mouth. Justin, our producer editor, sends them to me in a little messenger app, and I will get to all of those. I will read out your comments. If you have any questions for me too, feel free to put them to me. Now, it is important when you play a game of any sort, and a game is really a contest bounded by rules, so I suppose you could call election a game, a most serious game. If you agree to a game, you must be bound by the rules, including if you lose by those rules. And I think that Republicans in general and conservatives around the world generally abide by losses if the rules were adhered to. I think that's part of being a conservative. Respect for the rules, rule of law, equal treatment under the law, rule of law, not rule of man. But we've seen, first of all, how the Democrats have explicitly said they do not believe in the rules if they don't win under the rules. If they lose under the rules, they'll upend the game board. That's the rioting, Black Lives Matter, Antifa move. Or they'll change the rules, they'll rig the rules, change the Electoral College, change ballots to allow mail-in ballots. I saw people voting in what looked like a mailbox. How's that secure? How's that not stuffable and riggable? The scariest thing is when politicians, invariably on the left, talk about how they want to make voting digital so you can vote just like clicking like or something. Not only does that bring voting to people who have no interest in actually learning about the election, so they bring it to ultra-low information voters who are invariably Democrat. But it makes it so susceptible to rigging and hacking. I think the greatest hackers in the world are probably the People's Liberation Army of China. I mean, Israel's up there, Iran's up there, America's obviously up there, Britain's up there. But I think the world's greatest hackers are actually Chinese. And could you imagine an online election? Well, you don't need to imagine it. Democrats in the United States, liberals in Canada talk about it all the time. They talk about lowering the age of voting to 16 all the time. They want children to vote. So these are people who are constantly trying to change the rules, threatening to change the rules if they don't get their way. When they're losing under the rules, as with Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, absolute pure politics of personal destruction. They really didn't know what to do with Amy Coney Barrett because she was a woman, so they couldn't really accuse her of being a sexist misogynist, although they did. They actually asked her if she had sexually harassed anyone. I thought that just showed the class of the Democrats. They can't really call her a racist. She and her husband adopted two Haitian kids after the earthquake. So they were sort of muffled in their outrage about her, but my God, did they throw every slop of mud at Brett Kavanaugh. I guess what I'm saying is people who will do that will do anything to win. If they would do that for one seat on the Supreme Court, imagine what they would do for the presidency. All right, I'm going to read some super chats now. But it's clear to me that if Twitter is censoring those things, it's because they're important and they convince and they change minds. Now that you see that suddenly 138,000 new votes appeared out of nowhere in Michigan for Joe Biden, just out of nowhere, 100% for Biden, are you not curious at least? Trump was curious. He asked a 5-word question. Matt Walsh, who he retweeted, said, yeah, this is reason enough to go to court. And then the underlying tweet beneath that was just a guy showing it. Twitter censored all 3 of those layers with 6 clicks. Why would they do that? Why would they be working so hard to censor it if Biden had this thing in the bag? As Pardes Celeste said yesterday, if Biden was winning, we'd already know. I said that early last night. I said, if Biden wins, we'll know in the first hour or two. If Trump wins, they're not going to concede it for days. And he might never win. They might simply make it impossible for him to win. They're already muffling legitimate questions, as you can see Twitter's doing. All right, I'm going to try and whip through these super chats. Ready? I hear in my ear that there's news that Arizona might be in play for Trump. Let's take a look here. Jeff Dufour, the latest plot twist comes from Arizona, which had reportedly counted 95% plus of its votes. The New York Times notes that due to an error in an Edison Research data feed of results, the actual estimate is that 86% of the vote has been counted. That gives some credence to the Trump camp's argument in a call with reporters that it expects to pull ahead in Arizona because most of the outstanding vote is in Trump-friendly territory. Well, I'm surprised this hasn't been muffled by Twitter either. The thing is, Arizona, going from memory, has only what? Does it have, how many? I don't want to guess. I don't know how many electoral college. 11, thank you. So it is an important state, but if Trump gets those 11 electoral votes, which is not a sure thing, but if it happens, that changes the math a little bit. Wisconsin is 10, Michigan is 16, which is quite sizable, and Pennsylvania is quite mighty with 20 electoral college votes. For some reason, the New York Times refuses to concede North Carolina or Georgia to Trump. I think Trump will take both of those. If Donald Trump wins Arizona and he gets 11 electoral college votes, do you want to go to that website we were on yesterday so we can do this together? I enjoyed doing this yesterday, and I hope our viewers did too. You know, there's a lot of maps out there where you can click the different states and it automatically tallies the electoral college votes for you. It's just really helpful. Yeah, this is exactly the one. So can you go to Arizona in the bottom left there and turn it red? So we're best case scenario for Trump there. And yet Florida and Georgia and North Carolina are already red. So let's turn Pennsylvania blue. So, and let's turn Wisconsin blue. So Trump can still win if he's got Arizona plus Michigan. Okay, now turn Wisconsin, okay, now take Michigan, make Michigan blue. So if that's the outcome, it's extremely close, 258 to 280, but Biden wins. So as you can see, for Trump to win, click on, turn Wisconsin red. It's still not enough for Trump. Look at that. Give Trump Arizona and Wisconsin, he loses by 2. Wouldn't that be a shocking outcome? Now turn Wisconsin blue and turn Pennsylvania red. Yeah, that's a big win because Pennsylvania has 20 electoral college votes. I think, okay, now turn Michigan red one more time. I'm sorry, I don't remember what the result there was. And turn, okay, we got something red that shouldn't be. Yeah, turn Pennsylvania blue again. I think this is your best case scenario for Trump. A Michigan win and an Arizona win, and you squeak through by a 10 electoral college margin. That is your best case. Take Arizona out of this just for a second, see what happens. Yeah, Biden wins. So Trump must win Arizona and either Michigan or Pennsylvania. One of those two. Winning Wisconsin is not enough. If Michigan goes blue, click it blue again. That's an unhappy scenario. Turn Wisconsin red one more time. You miss it by 2. You miss it by 2. That's not enough. So for Trump to win, just make Wisconsin blue and Michigan red. That's what you need. That is what you need. I think Pennsylvania is stolen. I don't think you can unsteal it. I think the fraud is too deep there. Maybe I'm crazy to think Michigan can go red. Maybe I'm crazy, but there's a lot of workers, factory workers, auto workers. Trump was good to auto workers. I mean, it was, who's that fat filmmaker again? Michael Moore. It was him who said Trump was the first guy to actually care about the working man to come to town and talk tough to the tycoons there. Can we dig up that old video? You know the one. It was one of my favorite videos ever. It was the most honest thing Michael Moore ever said. It actually raised my esteem for that slob, that he was a thinker and that he was independent, because I don't think he's independent-minded, although he did do a film showing skepticism towards the theory of man-made global warming. While you're looking for that, let me read some super chats. How's that? And you know the one I mean, right? We used to show that a lot. Yeah. Kane Enmark, $2 Trump won, that's why they had to stop counting. Exactly. You know, the Dems are saying count every vote. My friend Harmeet Dillon, a lawyer for the Republicans, says no, count every legal vote. That's quite different. Martin Sable, $10 Trump #1. I spoke to my friend in Salt Lake City, PD, Utah. Thankfully, Red stayed and we agreed. Who in their right mind in U.S. wants a replica of Joker Justin Trudeau? I am shocked New York staying left still with all this Black Lives Matter BS. Oh, listen, New York and California are positively loving themselves today. Frank Guzzi, $5. Let's all thank Joe Jorgensen for stealing the exact amount of votes to lose 3 key states for Trump, the best player on Biden's team. Well, listen, they got this. This is what in the UK they call a stitch-up. And crazy, $5, fraud count. Yeah, and they won't even let Trump say it. You know, it used to be politicians censored media. Now it's media censoring politicians. How do you feel about that? I'm just going to read a few more super chats. Justin tells me he's got that clip of Michael Moore. I want to come back to that. The one where he talks about the unemployed. Yeah, I like the long version. He talks about the unemployed guy and his, you know, yeah. So I love that clip. Yeah, we'll play that. Let me just get a few of these super chats out of the way. Christina Pavlovska, $35. Thank you, Ezra and team, for a live, busy night. Yeah, we were here for 8 hours, 9 hours, whatever. Stockholm Syndrome, $5. Free speech, freedom of expression, freedom to assemble. All of those are under attack. Charlie Triple C, $5. They wanted Trump to declare victory so that way they can say he's a dictator when they steal it. The fraud is so obvious it hurts. Exactly. They were never going to give it to him. They would do anything. They would rather destroy the republic than to hand it over to their sworn enemy. And crazy, $5. Lots of new votes found for Biden. No one else. Not even an independent, just Biden. What are the odds of that? Yeah. About the same as the odds of Brett Kavanaugh being a gang rapist. We never did hear who the rest of the gang was, did we? He's a one-man gang rapist, apparently, in college, and he liked beer, so the guy's terrible. Yeah, the lies, they would say anything. They would say anything, they would do anything for power. Don't you know that? They say so. Angela B-Doll, $5. Had a vivid dream of Trump winning. I was there. We hugged. It was somber having to fight for honest democracy. Well, I haven't had anyone tell me they dreamed of hugging Trump before. Normally it's a hug with Melania that gets reported to me, and I say, too much information. Have that conversation several times a day. Viking Insane, $2. No more free speech or private property. Fun. We're in for tough times, my friends. And I say that as a Canadian, but what happens in this, you know the old saying, when America sneezes, Canadians catch a cold. Miss Patriot, £3. I love Trump, Ezra, and Tommy Robinson. Well, those are your 3 musketeers right there, eh? That's a trio for you. Damon the Damage, $5. Proving the Democrats are stealing this election will be the last nail in the coffin for the corrupt establishment. Well, I disagree on that. Nail in the coffin. How many more nails in the coffin do you need? The pollsters got it wrong, the pundits got it wrong, the media got it wrong, the debates commission got it wrong, everyone got it wrong, and they're still all in office. You know, you can't vote them, you can't vote Jim Acosta out of office, can you? You can't vote Brian Stelter out of office, can you? So nail in their coffin, really? They look pretty lively to me. Ray W., £5. If they cheated, it will be very hard to cover up. Too many people and too many mobile phones. They know what they're doing. They know how to, listen, the deep state is on their side. The former head of the FBI, former head of the CIA. Those people know how to cover their tracks. Cobra Forever, $5. All you have to do is look into the Hunter Biden emails to know they would do anything to steal the election. Their lives are on the line, literally. Pizza. I think you're right. These people, there's so much money at stake, so much power at stake. They spent $250 million. Was that in North Carolina? $250 million. They spent $120 million trying to get rid of Lindsey Graham, who I think is a really nice guy. He's not as conservative as I'd like him to be, but I like his style. They spent $250 million, $260 million, and that's American dollars. That's real money. That's what, 320 Canadian. A third of a trillion Canadian. Excuse me, third of a billion Canadian. They didn't win. Imagine spending that much, as Sheila mentioned last night. You wouldn't be able to go anywhere without some ad jumping out at you one side or the other. Imagine spending that much money on a Senate seat. Ched CA, $5. The Democratic Party and MSM will not risk going in front of the Republican Supreme Court. Oh, you are wrong. You are wrong. They'll do anything to rag the puck. They'll do anything to be dilatory, to drag it out. Why would they not? They've been defying Trump's legitimacy for 4 years. Why wouldn't they keep on for another 4 years? Dr. $5. Has anyone been sued or gone to jail over that Brett Kavanaugh case? Has anyone faced any consequences? No, other than they got ratings, and at CNN they probably had bonuses and raises all around. Ryan Clark, pen $5. Thank you. Get ready for the great reset, ladies and gents. Oh, you were so right. Wolfcat Wildcat, $15. We hosted the provincial and federal elections in both halls. I saw from the inside how it's done, and how do they not have a final count by now? Well, the shenanigans. Every state has their own way, which is part of the wonder of the United States, but some of those ways are quite corrupt, aren't they? Avery Thurman, $5. If Trump loses due to the voter fraud, can he go to the courts to find voter fraud, or will he be booted out of office? Well, of course, there is that transition period. He lost the election, but he's still the president until January. Ryan Clark, pen $5. Pen, what does that mean? Is that a currency of some sort? Probably, right? Pen currency. What does that mean? Peruvian dollar, I think. Thank you very much. The Peruvian soul. Okay, well, thank you for the super chats from Peru. I think I missed where I was there. There we go. So much for all the supporters of Russian help. Yeah, well, China's the big winner last night. Would you agree with me? Munazol, $365. I voted in person, was reaching for my pen, and the girl goes, here, and handed me a Sharpie. I didn't think much of it. Now look at Arizona. Machiavelli sucks. $1.99 fraud. Trump should never concede. Well, I mean, even already some of the Rhino, Republican in name only, columnists are calling on Trump to, don't be so prickly. My friends, I want to show you that clip from Michigan. It's of Michael Moore. Justin found it. So this is from 4 years ago, 4 years and a couple months. So Trump was called every name in the book, and no one was taking him seriously. And they were laughing at him, except one guy. That guy's Michael Moore. And we're going to play a bit of a clip here. And this is going to, I'd like to play the long clip. There's a lot in here, and normally I don't give a lot of weight to what Michael Moore says. I think he's a bit of a hypocrite. I think he's intellectually dishonest. But for some reason, here, and there was no financial gain to him. He didn't have a movie he was selling. He was just giving a speech in a great theater in Michigan somewhere. So I think he had nothing to lose. He was just honest. He had thought about it. And he used to be a working man himself. He's still got that working man feeling to him, that he cultivates that now, even though he's a gazillionaire. And he said, well, what little I know about being a working man, blue-collar guy, what's the residue, the vestiges of it in me, I think Trump's going to connect. Watch this. This is about a 4-minute clip. I haven't watched this in years, but this is the real Michigan. Take a look.
Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the Brexit states. You live here in Ohio, you know what I'm talking about. Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant, because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they've lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone, the car's been repoed, they haven't had a real vacation in years, they're stuck with the shitty Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a fucking Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had, except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote. They might be penniless, they might be homeless, they might be fucked over and fucked up. It doesn't matter, because it's equalized on that day. A millionaire has the same number of votes as the person without a job. One. And there's more of the former middle class than there are in the millionaire class. So on November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a big fucking X in the box by the name of the man who has threatened to upend and overturn the very system that has ruined their lives. Donald J. Trump. They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump after they loved him and created him, and now hate him. Thank you, media. The enemy of my enemy is who I'm voting for on November 8th. Yes, on November 8th, you.
You know, I mean, it goes on a little bit, but would you agree with me that he got it? Now, that was before Trump won. That's when no one was taking Trump seriously other than the people. And although Michael Moore is now a fancy pants gazillionaire, maybe he still has his ear to the ground. And can you disagree with what he said there? I thought he nailed it. What's so interesting about last night is that Trump grew his support amongst Black Americans and Latino Americans. Going from memory, the Black population in the United States is about 11 or 12%. The Latino population, let's say, is 15%. So together, let's call that 26, 27%. Might be a little higher now. Maybe it's 30%. So if you grow by a few percent of that, you're going to add 1 or 2 points to your vote total. The thing is, Trump actually lost ground with white Americans who, for whatever reason, were scared off of him, tired of him. Maybe they care more about pandemic panic than the things that Trump was offering. I mean, it was really, I saw, you know, are you afraid of the pandemic or are you hopeful for the economy? Which sums you up more? Well, if you have a government job and you just, so you don't live in real life, you don't think this lockdown's insane. I don't know anyone who's died from a virus with a 99% recovery rate. If you've got that job for life, you don't care about economics. You got a job for life. You'll indulge your pandemic panic, or you want to show off to your peers that you're fancier than Trump. You look down on him. I think the fancy pants white liberals or white moderates walked away from Trump, while some working class whites stayed with him, and some working class minorities moved to him. I think one of the most remarkable districts, or counties rather, was Miami-Dade County. I don't know if you can find that quickly on the New York Times county map. Miami's such a wonderful city, and I just love to think about it now that I'm stuck up here in Canada in the pandemic and it's snowing. It's not snowing today, but if you click on, yeah, look at that. Can you pump that up a tiny bit there? So yes, Joe Biden did win, but not by much. Not by much at all. 53 to 46 in Miami. I'm trying to remember what Miami-Dade was last time. I think it was 40 to, or like 30 to 60 or something. I don't know what it was, but you see how narrow that was? It's like 7, 8, 9, like 8 or 9 points different. So Trump didn't turn Miami red. That would be shocking. But I think, going from my notes, I'm trying to remember my notes yesterday, I think 200,000 Cubans basically said we're switching to Trump. That's pretty cool. And that sewed up Florida, because you take out 200,000, yeah, so what's that there? Can you zoom in a tiny bit there? Yeah, so last time it was almost double. You see that, 34% to 64%? And now it's like 40-something to 50-something, right? A 20-point shrink. Like that's a 30-point lead, 20 points of that was wiped out. Pretty cool. But there's still more white voters, and they migrated back to Biden. Or will we even ever know? Is it all just stolen and found in the middle of the night? Let me catch up on the super chats. Ryan Chance, 14 bucks. This leftist ideology is clearly an irredeemable threat to society. Can you make it illegal without threatening civil liberty? Well, you need the constant buy-in of the population to give meaning to a constitution. I recall that the old Soviet Union had a constitution that on paper had protections for civil liberties. But obviously it was meaningless. It was just a piece of paper. And if you have a community, a significant number of people in the community that put their own sectoral interests ahead of the rule of law and that find exceptions or force exceptions to suit them, things fall apart. I'm reminded of the illegal alien who in, I think it was San Francisco or somewhere in California, murdered a girl, and he was charged, and I think it was a jury that acquitted him because they simply would not, even though he used a firearm, which is the worst thing he could do to, in a liberal's mind. I'm trying to remember the details. Forgive me, I don't know the name off the top of my head. It was in California. It was in the last year or two. Because he was an illegal alien in a sanctuary state, they acquitted him. A jury acquitted him. So if you've got juries that will not convict people for murder because it's a political statement, what good does a written constitution do? If you have police who either the actual police will be political or they're commanded by their bosses to be political, or they're at the point where they say, why am I going to do anything because I'm just going to get in trouble, I'm going to be called a racist, I'm going to get shot. Why would I answer a 911 call? There's a black man with a gun, I'm not going to go there because if I defend myself, I'll be called a racist. I'm not interested, I'm not going to answer a 911 call, I'm busy. You don't think that happens? Look at the absolute surge in murders and other violent crimes in cities where the police force has been denormalized. In Ferguson, in Baltimore. Illegal immigrant acquitted of murder in San Francisco and Trump slammed verdict. Yeah, thanks. Pump it up a bit. An illegal immigrant from Mexico was acquitted of murder and manslaughter by a San Francisco jury. Then candidate Donald Trump used the case as a rallying cry against sanctuary cities. Jose Ines Garcia Zarate, 45, who had been deported to Mexico 5 times, was charged in the killing of Kate Steinle. Defense attorneys, blah, 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 accidentally killed her. Sure you did. It's an accident. Anyway, my point is, if your juries won't convict, if your judges are creative and find things in the law that weren't written there, if your media turns a blind eye to all of that and in fact censors politicians for saying maybe we should go to court, censored, what good is a constitution? You have to teach respect for the Constitution in every generation. That's not done anymore. In fact, all that's done is teaching disrespect to the Constitution and American history. We have that in Canada too. At least one thing I haven't seen in the United States, maybe I missed it. Have there been any George Washington statues toppled? I know Columbus, Lincoln, every Confederate. Have they toppled George Washington? Have they tried to tip over the Washington Monument itself? And the reason I ask that is because in Canada, and I say this for my foreign viewers, we have been tipping down our founding Prime Minister, Johnny MacDonald, and in fact, public institutions. Can you get the Toronto sarcophagus? There's this statue of Johnny MacDonald, our founding Prime Minister. I'm not going to say our George Washington because he was just a lawyer. He wasn't a soldier. Has literally been put in a coffin, a wooden sarcophagus, with a bag over his head by the government. So it's not just vandals and rioters. It's the government itself. Institutions are renaming buildings named after him. So if you, Queens, look at that. That is a statue surrounded in a box, almost like, you know, those terrorist prisoners with a hood over their head so they don't know where being treated. That is so, so gross. Sir John A. Macdonald statue now hidden at Queen's Park. That's not even the word, hidden. Locked up, boxed up. That is so gross. So yeah, if that's how you show your disrespect for your country, are you surprised that the laws no longer mean anything, the norms no longer mean anything, and if you don't even teach history, if you don't teach the customs and the norms? Plus, if you open up your borders to indiscriminate mass immigration from places where they don't have a history of democracy and the rule of law, I give the example of Ilhan Omar, who came to America from Somalia, a failed state, no tradition of liberty, of civil society, all clannish, you know, war of all against all. Are you surprised that she so despises America? Why would that be surprising to you? You can assimilate people if you bring them in on a pace slow enough that they can be absorbed and integrated into the culture. But when you have mass immigration and then it's ghettoized in communities that don't even speak English, they're not reading the, you know, the Federalist Papers in Somali. They're just, that's not what they're reading. So there's a lot of long-term problems here for America. Lee Whittle, $5. I heard that there's a deadline where if an outcome is not determined, the speaker becomes president. Might be reason for the big delays. No, I don't think that's quite how it works. I think there's a decision. Again, I'm not going to be a constitutional expert, but there's a rule for recounts in the different states, and then if there is a question, I think it's resolved. Is it by a vote of Congress? I'd have to double check. But what you're thinking of is if, God forbid, the president were to become killed or incapacitated, it would go to the vice president next, and after that it would go to the Speaker of the House. But that's, I think, a different process. And by the way, Trump remains the president today. And he will until January when he, I mean, this is what they call a lame duck president, because if he loses, if he wins again, I don't think he's going to win again. I think just seeing the array of trickery deployed against him, and we'll never know. Where did those millions of votes come from? Were they legit? You think we're going to ever know? You're going to check 2 million votes? You're going to check them, are you? Radney sold $5. Kyle Rittenhouse was extradited to Kenosha. If he loses self-defense from violent mobs, will no longer be defensible. What next for the people? Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's very clearly two Americas. And it wouldn't surprise me if you see firearm sales just skyrocket. First of all, to protect against the riots, and second of all, because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are gun grabbers. So you're going to, you know, for the next few months, expect record-breaking gun purchases. David Anderson, $2. Project Veritas has 1,000 reports of vote fraud. I'm not surprised. Chris, £10. God bless Trump. The Great Reset will fail. Have faith, love, and blessings to y'all. Well, I appreciate your optimism. Chris Rock, $5. We're waiting for them to count all the votes from deceased patriots that all voted Democrat 4 years ago. God is sovereign, and every knee shall bow. Matt B, 300, $5. You pick a nickname yet? How about Ez Dog? Not Easy Dog, but EZ Dog. Hope you had a good sleep before coming back to us this morning after a long night. Well, thanks for your friendly words. You know, when I was a kid, I had sort of a rap name, and it was Big Show. I'm not saying it's a great name. I didn't name myself. And my friend who named me, I called him T-Bone. So he was T-Bone, and I was Big Show. The irony being, I love T-Bone steaks. Bruce Barabanoff, $5. Ezra, did David Suzuki ever come and pick up your beer fridge? No. I haven't seen a lot of him lately. I wonder what he's doing. Gold Star, $5. Ezra Levant Desk Common Sense Tour. Well, there's not a lot of touring of anyone going on during the pandemic right now, is there? Mark Cougar, $5. Do you know anything about the Republic of Canada Party? No, I don't. Ray W., £5. Planet of the Humans by Michael Moore. That's right. You know what? We did play the trailer of that, and we talked to, I think, Mark Morano about how the fact he tried to be a contrarian there. Oh, my God, they disowned him. Chris Rock, $5. We are witnessing history, a battle between good and evil. No coincidence. Biden's campaign podium reads, battle for the soul of the nation. Repent. Can we get that clip I tweeted this morning about the voter fraud squad? RM, $5. We need the entirety of Rebel News to come to the States as citizens. You mean the United States? Well, we're based in Canada. A lot of our viewers are American. We have a reporter in Australia. I'm looking for someone in the UK. I don't know how to handle America. It's a big place. It's got its own style. We follow it. We like to talk about it, but I don't know. I don't know if we. I mean, frankly, I'd like a reporter in New York, and I'd like one in LA. And who wouldn't want to be a reporter in Miami? Oh my God, what a great city. Can we get also the Latinos for Trump, the ad? I know the live version was wonderful that you found last night, but the ad was pretty tight. Familia, economía. Dr. $5. Unfortunately, not just statues, but what really irritates me is the vandalism of war memorials that has been happening as well in the US and UK. Oh, absolutely. And it's part of the same thing. No respect for the history, culture, legacy, none of that. There's a lot of things to blame. Our schools, our no questions asked mass immigration, lack of absorption. There's a lot of things to blame. Billy McDonald, how come Trump is outperforming but Biden is winning? Well, we've been talking about that, haven't we? Ant Crazy, $2. Ezra, stop saying that. Trump won. I believe he did win, but by what rules? The rules are being changed as we speak. Ghost Rider, $7. It's awful what they're doing this election. The Democrats will do anything for power. Canada will suffer. Yeah, I think we will. And if Biden wins, especially in this way, it will encourage little tyrants around the world like Justin Trudeau. Gu Grency, if I'm saying that right, $7. Thank you for your support. Well, look, would you look at that? It's 1 o'clock. And I didn't have time to do everything I wanted to do. But can I show you 2 quick things? It's 1:01. Normally we wrap up right now, but we got a great crowd today. Thank you very much, and thanks for all your super chats. I want to show you, I mean, right now my mood is very somber, not because Trump lost. I mean, when you play a game, you win or you lose, and you accept it. But if the other side changes the rules, rigs the rules, tricks you, says, okay, we're done playing, let's go to bed now, and then he sneaks back down and plays a few moves in the middle of the night. I believe that's what happened with the, oh, we're stopping counting, and then, oh, we found 134,000, 138,000 votes. I think there's trickery. So you can accept a loss fair and square when you tried your best and the other party bested you. But can you accept a loss when the other party so clearly tricked, cheated? I don't think you can. But a lighthearted moment last night that put me in a great spirit was watching this Latinos for Trump music video. Here's a very short form of it. I'm not going to play the longer form, which we saw yesterday, but do you want to roll that Latinos for Trump video? Here, let's take a look.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
That's all we really want, La Buena Vida. That's what it's all about, ain't it? I love how Trump is dancing. You know, I needed that. I want to show you something. I think it was a gaffe. Biden has a lot of those. Or maybe it was an accidental revealing of the truth. I don't know, but I saw this clip and I retweeted it this morning. Take a look at this.
Secondly, we're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our administration, the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
Yeah, I mean, you could go around and every time Joe Biden makes a gaffe like that, you could say, oh, no, what he meant was, oh, no. When he said he would phase out oil and gas, what he meant was, when he said he was against fracking, what he meant was, what he meant was, what he meant was. And then you would be hired by CNN as an expert. But after a certain point, someone has to say, well, do you think maybe he meant it? Maybe he said the quiet part out loud? Because I do believe we're seeing some voter fraud. And I think that the most complicit people in this are the so-called watchdogs of society. I don't know how to pronounce Latin words. It doesn't stop me from doing it. But isn't that Latin phrase, quis custodiet ipsos custodes? That's surely pronounced wrong. But in English, that means, who watches the watchman? Who guards the guards? So if we're actually relying on the media party to scrutinize and hold to account the Democrats, but they're not, and in fact, if the media, or at least the social media, are censoring Trump when he asks basic questions as president, we're in dark days. And one of the things that's, God forbid if Biden becomes president or Kamala Harris de facto president, I'm worried that tech censorship will just expand beyond recognition. Who's going to fight back? What are you going to do? Going to have a few senators make some squawky noises? Donald Trump had 4 years to do something. He didn't do anything. I think social media is going to get brutal. In fact, if Biden actually wins, I think the future of Rebel News, given that we're so primarily based on YouTube, will be in grave jeopardy. Almost done. One more super chat. Hallow Reach is awesome. 117. £5. Have 5 of my Great British pounds. Biden is a Trojan horse for Kamala, who will. Oh, I think I read that. Didn't I just read that? I'm a little sleepy, my friends. One more just came in. Let me. Sorry, you know what? I went to bed pretty late last night. Will you forgive me for misreading things or mispronouncing my Latin? I never took Latin in school. I regret 2 things in high school. There was a Latin class. I didn't take it because I thought, who takes Latin? Now, in retrospect, I wish I did. And there was a drama class, and I really wish I did. I took 3 sciences. Why? Well, why did I mean, I was interested, but why did I take 3 sciences? I would have liked to have taken drama in Latin. Oleg Mudrov, Privyet, Oleg. $20. I just escaped from Russia just to find the same socialist populists dragging both Canada and the United States into the third world. Russia lost 20 million dead. To this, I don't want to live with doublethink, compelled speech, and neo-Marxist totalitarians. Is there hope? Well, ironically, Oleg, the hope comes from people like you. Because you escaped from Russia, which is an authoritarian regime, and until 30-odd years ago was a communist dictatorship, you have a closer connection, a closer memory to what life is like without freedom. And as I said last night, freedom is an anomaly. It's a historical anomaly. And it didn't happen by chance. It happened by the enormous exertions of generations of people, not just in the last few generations, standing strong in the Cold War, fighting the Second World War. But I'm talking about going back, the Revolutionary War in the United States, various battles in Europe, defending civil rights, the Magna Carta. You could go back millennia. The rule of law itself that precedes democracy. Democracy is a more recent innovation, but before democracy, there was the rule of law, Hammurabi's code, a code, a Roman code, as in here's the law. Rome, I mean, it was an empire, and you could be a colony of the Roman Empire, but you had rights, and there was a rule of law, and that was one of the great gifts that Rome gave the world, and the British Empire too. So you have millennia of efforts to lead us to the place where we are now. And people think, no, it was inevitable. No, this was our destiny. And we are smarter than anyone before us. We're wiser, we're more thoughtful. No, I don't think that's true. And we don't value the freedoms we have. So Oleg, if you came from the former Soviet Union, you probably know more about freedom than someone born into the luxury of America. Can you go to Twitter and type in antes et depois? Do you know how to spell that? That's Portuguese for before and after. A-N-T-E-S. It's I don't know if it's still on there. I used to look at it. Maybe it's taken down. But there's antes et depois federales. It's a Twitter account, and they have before and after photos of kids who go to a certain university system in Brazil. I honestly haven't looked at that in years. It just jumped into my mind. It's just basically before and after shots of kids who go to this left-wing university in Brazil. And the before shots are all these handsome boys and pretty girls. And then the second shot is that same kid after 2 or 3 years of the Marxist education, pierced this, green hair that, absolutely turned into these strange Marxist zombies. And maybe it's not on Twitter anymore. Entes et de poids da fédéral, that's what it is. Yeah, can you just go to Google, literally Google, and type it in ANTES, space E, space DEPOIS, space da fédéral. Do you want me to? And just click it up. So this is, I mean, this could be anywhere. I mean, I don't know anything about Brazil. Yeah, just click on any of those. They're diptychs. There's a before and after. You click on any of them. So, yeah, I mean, and pump it up a bit. So these are kids before and after they go to this left-wing college. Yeah, that's a good example. So on the left, looks like a good guy. Look at him after going to this college on the right. Yeah, that's from Milo. That's probably from Antes de Poix. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. And I'm not just speaking about the trans. I'm just saying you take kids that understand, that are normalized, you turn them into weapons. You weaponize them. You turn them into bullets. Yeah, that's a perfect example there. Lovely young girl. No, I'm Antifa warrior. Antes de Poix. So many of these are trans. I'm not even talking about trans. I'm just talking about college when you're so luxuriant. Thanks, that's enough. Yeah, look at that one there. When you have such luxury and such leisure and such privilege and such comfort in a free society, nothing matters. Nothing is valuable. You don't care about anything. You go to college and become some wacky commie. It's cool. Be badass. You don't know anything about history. You don't know anything about Marxism. You don't know anything about what it took to make the society we're in. That's the decadence. That's the decadence before the fall. And if you don't understand how lucky you are to live in a free country like Canada, the United Kingdom, or the United States, or Australia, or New Zealand, in 2020, of all the times and places to be born in the world, imagine if you were born in Constantinople before it was sacked by the Ottoman Empire. Imagine if you were born in medieval, in the before the fall of Rome. I mean, in the barbarians storm Rome. Any other time in history, any other place in history, you would be less free, less happy. You would be poor. You would probably be unhealthy. You would, Tamerlane, the Terrible, killed 5% of the people in the world. Genghis Khan. 5%. Tamerlane killed 5% of the world. You know what that would be like in today's numbers? That would be like someone killing 350 million people. We can't even conceive of that. The Holocaust killed 6 million Jews. The World War II, killed 20 million Russians. Mao Zedong killed 50 to 80 million of his own countrymen. These are staggering numbers. We can't even contemplate it. Tamerlane killed 7 times as many. 5% of the world he killed. You are so lucky to be born here and now, and yet to undermine those pillars of our own democracy and liberty and our security, I fear that is what is happening in America. I don't know. It's not the losing. Talk to me 2 days ago, I'd say Trump's going to lose. I was very pessimistic. It's not the losing, I swear it. It's the losing by cheating. I remember when Obama won in 2008. I remember when he won again in 2012. I was unhappy about it. I'm not going to say I was depressed by it. I was upset by it. but fair and square. There was no cheating. Mitt Romney was just absolutely lame as a candidate. John McCain was just absolutely lame as a candidate. And both were nice guys, bipartisan. And I think Republicans took a lesson from that and said, how about we elect a winner instead of a happy loser? The fact that Trump won against all odds in 2016 was a miracle. I thought Trump was going to lose yesterday. I was so, not depressed, but I had been gaslighted by the mainstream media and the pollsters into thinking he had no chance. So as the night wore on and he was just, okay, Florida, check, Georgia, North Carolina, check, Iowa, check. I thought, oh my God, he's going to win. When they stopped counting and he was ahead in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, hey, guys, go to bed. Hey, go to bed now. Oh, you woke up? Hey, good news, guys. We found 138,000 ballots after we told you to go to bed, but we actually didn't go to bed. We found 138,000 extra ballots. And wouldn't you know it, every single one of them was for Biden. Yeah, unbelievable. We can't believe it either. Okay, let's start counting again. It's not losing that bugs me. It's losing by cheating that bugs me, and I think that will bother every one of the 60 million or whatever it is people who voted for Trump. I don't know, do we have an estimate of the total vote count? Would it be 60, 65 million people who voted? I don't know if those numbers are out yet. Yeah, the top popular vote, yeah. So 66, 69. So on the Trump side there, you've got almost 67 million almost. Those people will feel cheated. If you cheat them, they will feel cheated. If you beat them, they won't feel cheated, they'll just feel beaten, which is a different feeling. You need the consent of the winners and the losers to a rules-based game. But if you rig the rules, you will not have, you need the losers to say, okay, we lost. By the way, it's the Democrats who refused to concede last time. It's 1:17, so I think I'm going to call it quits. Did I read all the super chats? I think a couple more here. Charlie Ward, 5 pounds, Ezra, you look extremely cream crackered yesterday. I think that's Cockney for knackered. I hope you got some good sleep, me old China plate. You know, I cannot get enough of the British accents. Hey, can we play 1 minute of Amy Stewart from fightthefines.co.uk? I'm going to switch gears for 1 minute, my friends. I'm almost done. But I love the support we get from the United Kingdom. I love the United Kingdom. I really only went there once or twice until I was 20. Like I went there and I didn't have a strong memory of it. But I started going there a lot after Tommy Robinson was arrested, and basically we had to free him from prison because no one else would. And so I think I probably went there a dozen times for all the hearings and everything. So I've really discovering a place when you're a grown-up and discovering it when you're sort of a mission is a different way than when you're a child or than when you're a tourist. And traveling all over the country is interesting, but also traveling with a local is interesting, but also someone like Tommy, who has a very certain flavor and accent and a certain class of friends. And I don't mean class, I don't mean, he's working class and he's not a fancy pants. And classism is very much a thing in the UK. And here in Canada, classism isn't even a thing. So to learn about that, and there is classism there. And don't call me a Marxist, I'm not. I'm just telling you what I observed there. And to learn to love another kind of people has been a great education and in some ways transformation for me. And one of the side benefits is to hear those lovely, lovely accents and to see the injustice through new eyes. I remember I spent one day with Buzz Hargrove. Can you believe that? Not a full day. But I hung out with Buzz Hargrove, I won't get into the hows and the whys, and I walked around with him, and just to see him, to see the world through his eyes for a few hours. Like you go into a tall office tower in the downtown. All right, you're going in, and you're going to meet some fancy person in the tower, and oh, there's a Starbucks there, and you're coming in. You go in with Buzz Hargrove, what does he do? He makes a beeline for the security desk, right? Because he knows that's a unionized guy. Hey, how you doing? Like so he walks through the world, and it's like he's scanning, beep, 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 beep. Who's a working man? And I'm going to go and give him my attention and my handshake and my back slap and give him a nice word, because that's my people. And it's almost like Fancy Pants would walk into that same place and they would not see the working class. They would only see the Fancy Pants. And I didn't go out for a meal with Buzz, but I bet he treats waiters and waitresses and busboys. I bet those are the people he talks to. I bet he treats them quite well. And I mean, I have my disagreements with Buzz Hargrove. He's the former president of the Canadian Auto Workers Union. My point is, when you spend time with Tommy, you see a different part of the world that if you're, quote, middle class or fancy pants, you not only don't see, but perhaps you have some contempt for. And it's fascinating to watch the Liberals and the Democrats talk about working class people, talk about minorities. It's in a contemptuous way. When they talk about open borders immigration, what about my nanny? What about my gardener? Oh, okay, now I know why you like open borders immigration. One of the things that I've learned in the United Kingdom is that the working class are given the short end of the stick. And I'm not, again, this is not a Marxist comment. It's that the system is so old and entrenched, and it's unfair. And what happens to working class people would not be permitted against fancier people. And I'm not going to play this whole video because it's 20 minutes long and we won't do that. But maybe play from the beginning because I introduced it for 30 seconds, and then can you cue it up to where she is? So I met Amy Stewart by phone and video, and I would call her a working class Northern English woman, a Yorkshire woman, who was picked on by the police in a way that I am absolutely certain that some fancy pants at Oxford, Cambridge would not. Just watch, this is 22 minutes, I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. I'm just so delighted to have friends in the UK. And I see as one of my unexpected missions in life is to do things in support of, I know this sounds crazy to say. I mean, I'm a middle-class Jew from Canada. Why would I care about the working class in the United Kingdom? That's so strange. Well, because I spent time learning it, seeing it with fresh eyes, and I was startled with some of the injustices I saw in terms of how police treat crimes against the working class, the mass rape of working class British girls in Rotherham, Telford, 100 other towns. And yet, so no policing to defend the working class girls of Britain. And by girls, I mean girls, as young as 11. And yet the casual cruelty that the police display towards working class when they're themselves. And I do regard myself as pro-policeman, but it's hard to when you see things like this. All right, without further preamble, take a look at this. Look at this young mother speaking at a small, peaceful protest against the pandemic lockdown in Northern England.
Children deprived of an education and to socialise with their peers. I could go on and on and on. For a virus with a 99% recovery rate.
And now look at her being thrown into the back of a police van. What on earth is happening to the United Kingdom? We'll tell you the awful story, and then we'll tell you how you can help her fight back. That young lady is It's a 22-minute video. Oh,
She's
I won't make you
30
listen
years
to the
old,
whole
a
thing. But basically, we're helping her fight against a £10,000 fine. Can you imagine like a pound is like $1.70 Canadian. Imagine a $17,000 fine. Oh my God, I've never heard of a fine like that before. She's a single mom. How's she going to pay that? And the cops You know, can you show the part where she's surrounded by the cops? I just want to show that part. I mean, she's like 100 pounds maybe, and so mild-mannered. And look at that. You got 5 cops surrounding her. She's got her back against the wall there. And then she puts her hands up just to sort of show I'm not, you know, if you were worried I was going to overpower you all like I'm the Incredible Hulk, don't worry. So her hands go up, and they arrest her for what, I do not know, and then they put her hands behind her and handcuff her. Why you handcuff her? I know why you handcuff people, because you're worried they're going to get violent, maybe they're going to run away. Why do you need a handcuff her? Anyways, I don't know how I got into that other than I see the Brits on the Super Chats, and I want to tell them that, yeah, and then they frog march her out of there. This is formerly the most, you know, look at that. They're turning against the police. The police are murdering their own reputation. This was a peaceful protest. But then the police, anyhow. All right, let's move on. It's 1:25. I'm 25 minutes over time. Wesley Apex, $2. Her rally crowd size meaningless now. No, it's just that, as, you know, Don Corleone said in The Godfather, a lawyer with a briefcase can steal more than 100 men with rifles. Dr. Phi, there are similar pictures of radical feminists in the U.S. from before and after going to university. Well, you know, Bill de Blasio's daughter. Can you find that on my Twitter feed? Just search from Ezra Levant, de Blasio daughter. Such a beautiful young woman, like really beautiful. I think most mixed race kids are so beautiful. I mean, the best of both features. Bill de Blasio's daughter, very beautiful young woman, and then she went to college, and then, oh my God. Yeah. Could you click on the, I mean, Shara de Blasio, if I'm saying that, what a lovely young woman. Yeah, and then send her to college. I swear to God that's her. Thanks, university. How much tuition did you pay for that, Bill? Unbelievable. Robert Fraser, $5. Ezra, I found this about Wisconsin. Registered voters, 3,129,000. Votes cast, 3,296,000. Yeah, isn't it? Well, I'll check that out. Linda McDonald, $5. 68,620 votes difference in the Michigan maps. Raquel Recklaw, $5. Hey, Ezra, I'm a blue-haired, pierce-lipped, hardworking, free-thinking patriot. Please don't judge people by their appearance. You alienate supporters. All right, I take your point. As I've just indicated, many of my friends are tattooed because I've never met a working-class Brit who's not. I take your point there. But there's a certain sameness, there's a certain uniform. I'll think about that some more. But why the attack? I mean, like, take Chair de Blasio. I think she was trying to look offensive as some statement, like walking around, "Fuck you," or something. Why? That's not even the worst photo, by the way. There's some photos that I don't even want to show you. She was arrested, actually, in the Black Lives Matter riots, and some of the photos of her were just insane. When you rebel against all norms, why are you doing it? And are you doing it just to undermine the society? That's what I believe the radicalization of young people in universities is about. To aim them against the establishment and establishment norms. I'm not saying I value a pretty person more than an ugly person. But there's an ideology that attends with that. It's like when I see people say him, her, or he, her, he, him in their pronouns. What are you doing? I can see you're a man. What are you doing that for? It's an ideology that there's an underlying ideology to it. I'll think more and I'll talk more about your question to me, but I appreciate you saying that. Martina Ann, £2, this too will pass. I hope so, but sometimes things do not swing back. Charlie Ward, £2. Ezra, you missed my last super chat about a movie. Okay, Charlie M. Oh, it's the one below. Charlie Ward, £5. Watch a film only found on YouTube called One by One about the Great Reset taking place. It's truly eye-opener movie that was banned and unreleased 2014. Okay, well, there's so much to do, isn't there? Well, my friends, thanks for sticking with me. We went on a little bit long today. Raquel Reclaw, you've given me something to think about, but I will think about it, and I may respond at great length. I think the problems that were manifested last night started long before last night. I think they started in grade school. I think they started with open borders. I think they started with radical judiciaries. I think they started with anti-Americanism, lack of history, extremism in pop culture, over-politicization of every aspect of life, the legalification of everything, the lawsuitization of everything, and an un-American lack of fair play that the Democrats have adopted of their own, which is scorch everything. All you need to do is win. It's not actually an American sentiment, certainly not a British one. It's 1:30, my friends. What a pleasure to spend the last 90 minutes with you. Thank you for your super chats. I had a short nap this morning, by the way, so I'm refreshed. I've had my Red Bull. I got a show tonight at 8 p.m. Please join if you can. I'll go on at some length and have my thoughts better organized. Until next time. Oh, do we have a dog video? You know, I like to end with a dog video. Justin is the curator of these dog videos. I do not see them in advance. Generally, dog videos make me feel better. I hope they make you feel better too. I'll say goodbye to you now, and until then, I'll leave you with this dog video curated by Justin.
Do you love your dog, and would you do anything to protect them? I know I would, and I've been getting more and more concerned recently. See, dogs in Canada, they're not safe anymore. If you've heard the news, Canada's Minister of Infrastructure has a hankering for cute pups just like this one, just like yours. Do you want to go for a walk down the Rideau Canal and know that Catherine McKennell isn't going to take your cute pooch and put them on her plate? Well, you need a shirt just like this. Maybe you don't even live in Ottawa and you're concerned that Catherine McKennell is going to come to your hometown and bribe you with your own tax dollars with some infrastructure announcement if she hasn't lost track of it, that is. Well, if she comes to your town and you have one of these shirts that will ship directly to your door, you can feel safe, and so can your dog, knowing that they'll make it home and Catherine McKenna won't be eating it. Go to catherinemckenna.ca to get yours.